Did you know that about 8% of your DNA isn't actually from you? It is like this weird, alien-like snuck some genetic material into your body and it's still hanging out with you. But don't freak out just yet. I'll explain everything real soon. But before I dive into it, let me ask you something. You wake up tomorrow, grab the remote, and switch on the TV. Breaking news flashes across the screen that every virus in the world is gone. How would you react? I bet you would feel pretty darn awesome. Just imagine, no more worrying about catching some nasty virus like Ebola or HIV. It's like a weight lifted off your shoulders. You are so pumped about the world being virus-free that you dash outside and give the pavement a good lick. You might even lick your neighbor's face just for kicks, thinking you are invincible now. But hold on, what if I told you that your joy would turn into straight-up dread down the road? But in the years to come, unexpected and seriously dangerous stuff could start popping up in this virus-free world. Soon enough, you might find yourself praying for those old viruses to come back. It is crazy, isn't it? But stick around till the end of this video, and I will spill the beans on why wiping out viruses might be the mother of all bad moves. Guys, viruses are like the ultimate squatters. They are literally everywhere. I am not talking about pret-a-mangers in London being on every street corner. I mean, viruses are all over the place. From the bottom of the ocean to the top of Mount Everest, they are chilling in deserts. They are kicking it in rainforests. There's no escape from viruses. Every time you take a breath, you are inviting these tiny dudes in. Let me tell you, Korean scientists checked out the air in a forest and found up to 40 million viruses in just 1 cubic meter. It is crazy. Now you might be thinking, let's nuke them all. But hold your nerves. Believe it or not, these germs are actually kind of important. Now you will be thinking why germs are important. Without them, you might not even exist. So, maybe we should give them a little gratitude instead of trying to kick them out. Viruses are not just tiny troublemakers. They are like the ultimate artists of life, weaving their way through the whole story of existence. Even though when there wasn't any life existed on Earth, the viruses were there from day one. These little guys are basically genetic material wrapped up in a protein coat. They are so basic that they're like the OGs of life, straddling the line between being alive and just chilling. They could not survive without crashing at someone else's place. They are like genetic delivery dudes, zipping around and passing on tiny packages of info from one host to another. Back in the days, viruses were the MVPs of evolution, mixing things up and speeding up the whole process. They have been doing it since forever. Like, scientists found bits of ancient viruses in our DNA, which is 8% of it to be exact. Without these sneaky little influences, we might not even be here, or we would be some seriously different versions of ourselves. So, viruses have basically shaped who we are today. Did we ever thought about this? So, viruses are not just helping out animals, they are doing plant life a solid as well, turns out. Plant viruses are like the superheroes for crops, making them tougher against pests and diseases. Without this viral backup, our plants might be too wimpy to handle the crazy changes happening in our world, and we could be facing some serious food shortages. Now, I am probably flipping your view on viruses a bit here, but let's keep it real and answer the big question. What would it take to kick viruses to the curb, and what chaos would follow? First off, wiping out every virus would be like trying to clean every speck of dust in the universe. It is a massive task. We are talking about getting rid of every single viral particle on the planet, from the deepest ocean trenches to the top of Mount Everest. But it is impossible, as we all know. Imagine tiny robots going around, hunting down viruses like microscopic bounty hunters, or maybe some crazy science fiction machine that filters viruses out of the air, water, and soil. Then we would have to give every living thing a deep clean, which would mean waiting for a whole generation to kick the bucket after hitting them with a super vaccine. But even if we manage to cook up a vaccine for every virus we know about, which is only like 1% of them, which does not seem possible. By the way, viruses are sneaky little devils. They evolve faster than a TikTok trend. And let's not forget, we would have to jab every single living creature on Earth, from humans to even ferrets. Wrangling 20 million ferrets for a shot? Now that is a sitcom waiting to happen. Let's say we somehow whip up a super vaccine that can handle all the mystery viruses of the future. Now, the best way to spread this magic potion would be to dump it into the global water supply. That way, it would mix into the rain, showering crops, and eventually ending up in every living critter's belly. Sounds simple, right? But pulling off something like this would be crazily complex. But for the sake of argument, let's imagine we pull off this miracle. We jab every living thing, scrub every inch of the planet, and filter the air like there is no tomorrow. After all that hassle, Earth is officially virus-free. So what is next? It's like we have crossed a big line in the sand, kind of like how Caesar crossed the Rubicon River. But once we are in, there is no turning back. We are committed to this squeaky clean journey. But what is waiting for us at the end? Will it be a paradise without viruses or something straight out of a nightmare? At first, it might feel like paradise. Imagine waking up in a world where you don't have to worry about catching some nasty bug every time you step outside. Hospitals would breathe a sigh of relief, taxes might even drop, and socializing would be a breeze without the constant fear of getting sick. You could ride the subway without stressing about catching a cold from the guy next to you. Imagine with no viruses messing things up, the world would be a pretty sweet place, right? People would be calling in sick less often, which means more work getting done around the globe. Plus, without viruses messing with livestock, food prices might drop a bit, and we would have a more stable food supply. But here is where things get real interesting. With all the focus of viruses, medical research could go full throttle on tackling other big bad diseases like cancer and dementia. Sounds awesome, am I right? But hold on, our virus-free paradise isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Trouble starts brewing in the natural world. See, without viruses to keep bacteria in check, some of those little guys start going nuts, turning into superbugs that our antibiotics cannot touch. And down in the oceans, it is even worse. Without marine viruses, the whole food chain gets messed up normally. These viruses keep things in balance, but without them, phytoplankton, the tiny marine plants, will go crazy, sucking up oxygen and creating dead zones where fish can't survive. Suddenly, billions of folks are missing out on their seafood fix. As we know, all those extra phytoplankton could cool the planet down fast by slurping up CO2 from the air. It sounds right, isn't it? It also makes the Earth more reflective, bouncing sunlight back into space and messing with the climate in ways we can't predict. So much for a simple fix. If we mess with the balance of viruses, things could get seriously wonky. Like, imagine this: more sunlight bouncing off the Earth means less heat sticking around, and that could kickstart a mega chill-out session, maybe even another ice age. On dry land, it's chaos, bugs, those little buddies who help flowers do their thing, start freaking out. Without viruses to keep them in line, pests like aphids go nuts, wrecking crops and throwing the whole food chain out of whack. And as for us humans, it's bad news. Our immune systems, used to dealing with viruses all the time, start acting up without them. It's like they forget how to do their job, leading to a spike in autoimmune diseases where our bodies attack themselves. It is not fun. Now, you have heard of the microbiome, right? Well, meet its lesser-known cousin, the virome. There are a bunch of viruses chilling inside you right now, and most of them are harmless or even helpful. They keep your gut in check and help out your immune system, but if we ditch them, who knows what kind of mess we will be in. But here is the real thought. Mess with viruses, and you mess with evolution itself. Normally, evolution takes forever, but if we pull the virus plug, things could change fast. Like within a couple hundred years, we are talking major shakeups in DNA, and that's not good news for anyone. Less genetic diversity means we are sitting ducks for new diseases and climate changes. Let me explain. In our big quest for a world without viruses, we accidentally messed everything up. Instead of a perfect paradise, we have ended up with a super fragile planet on the edge of total chaos. We tried to outsmart nature, but turns out we just made ourselves even more vulnerable. Here's the thing, viruses have been kicking it on Earth since forever. So maybe we shouldn't mess with something that's been working for billions of years, you know. Okay, so now we are in a real pickle. Crops are failing. We have triggered an ice age and our own bodies are turning against us. Can't we just hit reverse and bring back the viruses? Well, it is not that easy. Once we have crossed that line, there's no going back. And the longer we wait, the worse it will be when they come back. It's not as simple as just tossing viruses back into the mix. Our ecosystems have been doing their thing without them for ages, so throwing them back in could cause some serious chaos, like aphids might start dropping like flies. Even though they are annoying pests, they are a big part of the food chain. Same goes for the oceans. Phytoplankton could collapse, screwing up the whole climate and sending us into a heat wave, and that's just the start of our problems. Without viruses keeping things in check, our immune systems are out of practice, leaving us wide open to new diseases. Plus, think about the next generation. Kids growing up without exposure to viruses could end up with super weak immune systems, setting them up for a rough ride. Reintroducing viruses into a population like that, it could be a disaster, like when the Spanish brought smallpox to the New World. And all these crazy scenarios I am throwing out there, they are just guesses. Trying to figure out what would happen without viruses is like trying to solve a puzzle with a million missing pieces. Bottom line, messing with viruses is playing with fire, and we would be wise to leave them be. Thanks for watching. I hope you understand the importance of germs and viruses on our planet. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications for upcoming videos.